Awesome.
Okay.
All right, welcome guys. This is PD Connect. I'm Steph and this is Lisa. We've got an informative support group for you today about foam rolling and stretching. We're going to show you our disclaimer, so please read it and clear your space and make sure you have water next to you, please.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching that, guys. Do remember that exercise involves risk. We are going to work on some stretching here today. We're going to share a little slideshow for you. So check that out. And then we are going to do some stretches. If you're overheating from class, make sure you're sitting down, you're drinking plenty of water, and just listen. Okay? All right. Sharing screen. All right. Thanks, you guys. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we are going to remain muted here. Just right here. Yeah. Okay, we're going to share this slideshow with you. We're going to do stretching and foam rolling today. Okay, that's not it. Okay, here we go. All right, so we've got some practical tips for you. Can everyone see that? Give us a thumbs up to make sure you can see our screen and us. Yep, okay, thank you so much. Okay, so don't hold your breath while you're doing this. There's a lot of things we want to be mindful about. We always want to be mindful about posture and the way you guys are going to be on the ground or scrunching yourself. Please make sure that you can still breathe while doing that. We're going to breathe slowly and deeply. We're going to ease into our foam rolling and stretching. We're going to focus on what areas are bothering us, and we want to make sure that we're not forcing those areas also. So we want to ease into rolling on some of these areas. If you don't have a foam roller, you can use a tennis ball. Okay, you want to keep your head supported on your roller at all times if you are using the roller though, and you'll see on the table here, we have something that we can always place our head back onto. Try to relax as much as possible. Even when you're using the tennis ball, we'll do some hand rolls and some forearm rolls. We want to make sure that you're relaxing and nice deep breathing through it. And keep in mind that rolling and foam rolling and rolling on a tennis ball, any kind of massage kind of stuff you do can cause soreness up for a few days. But what's really important is you want to stay hydrated, you want to sleep well and eat well so you can flush your body out and relax your muscles. You want to say anything?
Yeah, well, and just a comment, we talk about nutrition a lot. What you eat actually does matter in terms of the kind of the physiology of your muscles and the fascial layers. If you eat a lot of sugar, it's kind of like that stickiness.
Don't tell me.
Stays in that fascia. And if you eat a lot of carbs, it's like if you took water and flour and put it together and you get that stickiness also happens within our body and our tissues. So staying, clean and eating things that are not so sticky and drinking plenty of water will help to keep your muscles nice and supple.
That's something I had to remember because, I used to run because I like to eat, okay, and sugar. So the thing is, I had to realize, I had to keep in mind that it's not just about finding that balance in running and eating. It's about what you're putting into your body to nourish your body. Yeah, and I had to cut back on the sugar. Not always the case, but anyway. All right, moving on to the next. So we're going to talk about stretching and foam rolling. That's what we're doing today. I don't know if you guys can see those pictures there, but stretching increases your body's flexibility and it gives you greater range of motion in your joints. So you can do things like jump up in the air and touch your toes. And I don't know what that lady's doing. What is that, scorpion back there, over there? But yeah, can you do that?
No.
She's going to try that on the table here in a minute. Okay, and then foam rolling. We use our body weight and movement and pressure to increase the circulation in the areas that we're foam rolling and also to relieve pain in our muscles. Both of these things are something you should have in your weekly schedule, guys. I mean, stretching.
If not daily schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, stretching for sure. not all of us are comfortable foam rolling yet, and we hope that after we show you these little things that you'll be comfortable.
Just one thing, which is that, you know, the stretching is really important. Part of Parkinson's is that stiffness and the tightness and that bradykinesia and the slowness. So your muscles already don't want to move in a big range. And then when you don't move in a big range for a long time, your muscles will adapt. You will adapt to that. If you put a cast on and you took your cast off after 6 months, your muscles will be stuck in this position. They will adapt. So stretching is really important for, especially for people with Parkinson's. It's something that you want to do ideally every day. And for the people that I work with, the ones that do exercise and stretch every day are the ones that do best. And it doesn't have to be a lot, it doesn't have to be a burden, but they also say, you know, if I don't do my stretches, I feel my joints hurt, my back hurts. So it really helps to stretch a little bit.
If you guys are watching movie marathons on Netflix today, the rest of the day, that's okay. And we often talk about, hey, why don't you take a little break and do a cardio snack? It's hot today. If you don't want to do a cardio snack, do some stretching, right? So just stand up out of your chair or off of the couch and take a time out and do some stretching. It's really important not to get stiff sitting on the couch for 8 hours of a movie marathon, okay? All right, moving on. So we're going to teach you some stretches before you even get out of the bed in the morning. If you're in bed right now watching us, this is even better, okay? So you can do these. Lisa has set up this massage table.
You can probably stop this screen share here.
Okay, we'll stop the screen share for a second. Okay, and now can you guys still see us? Thumbs up if you can still see us. All right, cool. All right, so Lisa set up this massage table from 1975, I think. Is that when it was from? Yeah, okay, anyway, so you see she's got a pillow underneath her head here, okay? So she's going to show us that knee to chest exercise. So she's just waking up out of bed. She is, her eyes are still closed actually. Okay, she's just getting up out of bed, or waking up actually. And so she's going to start out by just bending her knees up here and taking one leg at a time and bringing it in towards her chest. Now, if you guys want to join us right now and be on the floor, that's absolutely great. We want to make sure that you know how to do all of these exercises. You don't have to, especially if you're not comfortable getting on the floor by yourself right now. Okay, so
I've got my other knee bent right now, which is an easier stretch, but if I were to straighten out my other knee, that's a much bigger stretch.
yes.
So do what your body can do,
Yes.
and don't overdo it.
So that's why when she first wakes up, her other leg is bent, just to show you how she's easing into that. She's doing that gradual stretch, and now she's putting that leg down and coming over into the other. That knee is coming in towards her chest. And where do you feel that, Lise?
I feel that right now, just in my lower back and in my hips.
Excellent.
And I'm going to extend my other leg out
Good.
a little bit, so I feel that a little bit
More in the
through
glutes,
hip,
in the glutes, yeah.
and the groin,
Good.
and in that lower back.
Excellent.
How long should someone hold a stretch?
Yes, good question. We should be holding our stretches anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds, okay? 30 to 60 seconds. Now, you know, you're just waking up out of bed. You may not be wearing a watch. So just hold it to, you know, we want to at least aim for that 30 seconds, okay? Good. All right. So the next exercise you're going to do is that hamstring stretch.
Right. So I'm already on my back, and this first one I just put my hands over my knees. Now I'm going to put my hand behind my knees. I'm going to grab my leg, and I can do this with my knee bent like this, but as I straighten out my leg, I'm feeling much more of a hamstring stretch.
Yes.
The hamstrings are right behind here.
Yeah.
And again, if I straighten out the other leg, I feel much more of a stretch.
Guys, just a reminder, look at Lisa has got a pillow behind her head, and her neck it's nice and comfortable here. So if you're on the floor and you don't have something underneath your head, and you're linking your hands behind your leg, it's going to be a much more difficult posture to maintain, because your head will be floating up off the ground, especially if you have tight hamstrings. So please be careful with that. So you can see how Lisa's coming up and then right back down. Yeah, and you can also double up the pillow is what she's saying. Okay, good. So she's supporting her leg right underneath her knee. She's switching over to the other side. Good. Her fingers are linked. If you can't link your fingers, that's okay. So she does have a slight bend in her knee. If you were to straighten out your knee completely, that's definitely going to feel a hamstring pull. So please really ease into that. And if you do try to straighten out your leg all the way, can you, Lisa? Yep, it looks like that. Okay, so ideally, if it's really hard for you to go with a straight leg, that means you need to stretch your hamstrings. Your hamstrings are tight, but that is something you absolutely need to ease into. We use our hamstrings for a ton of things, and we want to make sure that we're not ripping any of them off.
Right. Okay. And there are many ways to stretch your hamstrings. One of which is just standing and bending down to try to touch your toes. Exactly. But I don't really like that one. I like this way a lot better because you're already lying down, your back is supported. There's no way you're going to do it by hurting your back in this position because you are supported, and it's much more comfortable in this way.
You got it. All right, excellent. Well done. So your hamstrings are feeling a little bit better here. So now we're going to go to bridge. So remember, you're still in the bed, okay? So you're still in your bed. She's got a flat back. Now both of her feet are flat on the ground. Her knees are bent. She's placing both of her hands right next to her bottom, and she's going to press her bottom up off the ground. Look at that nice flat tummy, and she's squeezing her butt in off of the bed. Okay, now she's going to slowly lower that all the way down. Good. And then she's going to come all the way back up. You're going to go easy with this. Nice deep breath. Remember, we don't want to hold our breath here. So she's going to come all the way back down nice and slow.
So this isn't one that you necessarily hold for 30 seconds to 60 seconds because that's a lot of quad strength for this one.
Right, and we're just using this as a stretch.
Yeah, we're using this as a stretch, especially for our hip flexors. Yeah. Our hip flexors are so tight in today's modern world.
Good. All right, she's going to do one more with you guys. Yeah. Coming all the way up.
All the way up. Squeezing, really pressing my hips up towards the ceiling.
And then coming right back down. Remember to ease back down there. Okay, good. All right, excellent. So the next exercise we're going to do is corkscrews. So you're actually going to stack your legs.
So my knees are bent, my feet are together, my knees are together. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to let my knees roll over to one side while I keep my shoulders flat on the table here.
You see those racing stripes? You see how her legs are stacked and they're coming from one side to the other? Good. And you only want to come as far as it is comfortable. Of course, it's going to be a little uncomfortable because you are stretching, but you don't want to hurt your knees or your hips. So you want to make sure that you're nice and comfortable when you come from side to side.
And this one you could do either one. You could hold it for 30 to 60 seconds, or you can do kind of this gentle rolling, a few seconds on each side, just to kind of loosen things up here. Just waking up the body.
Excellent. Good. All right. Hopefully you guys feel good doing this, okay? All right, our next exercise we've got are butterflies. So your legs are going to come out like a butterfly. Lisa's hips are pretty tight here, you can tell, just by how she cannot lower her legs. Okay, so if you are very similar, we're working on opening up the hips. But we want to make sure that you're not hurting your hips and you're also not hurting your groin. Okay, so she's bringing her legs together is where she'll start. Then she'll slowly lower her legs apart. Okay, her feet are together. It's kind of a hard angle to see, but ideally her legs are coming from like this. So we call it a butterfly. So she's opening up her legs, and ideally her legs would be flat to the table, but she's so tight that she is having a difficult time with that. Okay, so obviously Lisa needs to stretch out her hips. All right, so
and be careful with this one because this one really stretches out your groin.
It does. So
it's totally okay to use your hands to bring your feet together again. That's what you want to say.
Yeah, that's okay. You already said it. That's what I was going to say. Yes. So we want to use the control of your legs, right? So you want to slowly let those legs down and slowly bring them up. It's not a fast pace. You're not pretending you're a fast butterfly, guys. Okay. So be careful. Okay, good. All right. Next, we've got book openers.
Okay. So book openers requires me to lie on my side. So I'm going to come all the way onto my side here. Okay. I have my hand, my arm at a 90-degree angle to my body. My other hand is coming up on top. My knees are bent, my hips are bent, my knees are together, my feet are together. And I'm going to open up like a book here, except I am going to hit the wall. So I'm going to bend, but it would look something like this. Okay, so I'm going to open up, and really rotating through my torso here. My knees stay together. My knees stay stacked down there, but it's my upper body this time that's moving. The corkscrew was my lower body moving, and my upper body was flat on the table. Now it's my legs are flat on the table and my upper body. Good. And it also helps if you use your eyes to follow your hand as you try to come all the way across to touch the floor on the other side or to touch the bed. It will allow your neck to rotate, and you'll get more range of motion if you use your eyes. Let me see if I go the other way. I'm just going to do it the other way so that you can see what this looks like. So I'm going to come up.
If you're having troubles hearing her, she's just trying it on the other side now so she can really show you how she opens up, and she's following her hand with her eyeballs, which allows her neck to rotate as well. So she's not just rotating with her neck, she's rotating with her upper body, opening up her arm and looking out towards her hand.
And look at how still my lower body is. My lower body doesn't move at all.
Yes, her lower body is remaining in the same position, her knees stacked, her feet together, and she's really twisting that upper body. Good.
Opens up the chest here.
Yep.
Really good.
Working on those tight pecs.
Yeah. The tight pecs and then the rotation.
Yes, exactly. Okay, great. So remember, those were all exercises you can do before you get out of bed in the morning. Really helpful if you're having an issue fitting in some stretching. Let's wake up 5 minutes early and try those. That's a great idea to start your day. All right, let's do some additional stretching. No need for the table anymore. Okay, but we will do some foam rolling up after this. We're just gonna show you some additional stretching. So now Lisa's sitting up out of her bed, and we're going to do our oblique stretch, okay? So you can sit still. You can still remain seated to do this one here. And I'm gonna remain out of the frame here just a bit so that you're gonna do that oblique stretch. So Lisa's doing the oblique stretch here. We do this one often in class, and she's got both of her hands active here. Okay, you can see she's tilting to the side here. If you're still so stiff,
I actually prefer to do this standing because
absolutely. She has a really long torso, so that's not as helpful sometimes. Okay, good. So now she's standing, but you can do these while seated.
And I can also, if my arm gets tired down here, because it is tiring, and I have a bit of a shoulder problem, I just want to reach down.
Mm-hmm. And now we're going to switch to the other side. Good. Nice and slow. We're going to come to the center, and then we're going to reset and come over to the other side. Okay, again, trying to have both hands active here to start. Okay, both hands active if you can. All right, so you're really reaching through, and you can feel that oblique opening up.
All through there. Lats really tight,
yes.
All in through here. Now, the other thing with this one is I'm also keeping my posture really straight, really forward. I'm not rotating at all. I want to make sure that I'm not twisting and bending. That's really, really bad for your spine, for the facet joints and your discs. Any of you who have had herniated discs, do not do a twist and a fold. So I'm just nice and straight here, good posture, and I'm just going straight to one side as I stretch out my entire side, my lats, my obliques, a little bit of my IT band here. Coming back to the other side.
Excellent. Okay. The next stretch we have is the chest open stretch. Okay. So starting with your hands out directly in front of you. Okay. And now just like we do with our power up, you're squeezing those shoulder blades all the way back together. And then you don't have to actually hold this one for 30 seconds either. But ideally, if you could do this stretch for 30 to 60 seconds, just coming forward and back, that's a great way. But just hold it for a couple seconds in the front and in the back. So
an alternate stretch to this is the doorway stretch.
Yes.
So right now, I can pretend like I'm in the doorway.
Why don't you use the armoire?
I can use the armoire here. I have kind of a doorway here. I have the armoire and the wall. So I'm in the doorway, and I'm just going to put my hands out here, and I'm going to step forward with my hands on the other side of the wall, and it's really stretching through my pecs and through my arms and my shoulders.
Good. I do want to share this next slide that we're talking about here. So we just did that side stretch. Now we did that chest open stretch, and now we're going to do the cat cows. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I just want to kind of give you guys a visual as to what we're working on here. So now she's going to come back down onto. She can do this in standing or again seated. Totally up to in seated. Okay. Or you can do this in quadruped, but if you don't want to do that, that's okay too. So the cat cows are what we're doing here. So she's going to round her back like the cat. So she's bringing her chin down towards her chest. She's opening up her arms here. So she's got a little bit of bend in the elbows. And then she's going to do the cow. So she's coming all the way to nice flat back, sticking out her chest. And she's got a nice flat back sticking out her butt as well. And her chin is coming up towards the sky. Okay, so
I think another way to show that is in standing. I just want to show you what that looks like in standing. So I'm really rounding. You can do the pumpkin.
Yes, she's very rounded here. And now she's going to come up, and she's got a nice flat back, chin up out of her chest, and she looks like a cow.
Oh, thanks. I look like a cow. Is that what you just said?
No, I didn't say that. But that's why it's called a cat cow. Because you looked like a cat earlier. But I mean, I didn't mean like she looked like a cow, but like her back looks like a cow. Anyway, I'm inserting foot in mouth. Good thing this is recorded. Okay, on to the next stretch. We've got that hip stretch and calf stretch.
All right, I love this one.
Yes.
So hip stretch, again with the hip flexor, so important, guys. So with the hip flexor stretch, I've got one leg behind and one leg forward. I need my legs to be at least wide enough apart so that I actually feel a stretch. Sometimes when we do this in class, I see your feet are just they're too close to each other. You really need to bring them wider. And then I've got my, I'm holding onto the table here. You can hold on to whatever you need to, or you don't have to. And now I'm going to press my hips forward so that I really feel in this leg that's behind, I feel the stretch all the way in through my hip, this whole area here.
Yes.
So I'm nice and tall with my back. I'm not rounded. I'm actually sticking my chest out and keeping my hips forward. Really feel this. Wow.
Good. And look at her front leg. She's making sure that that knee is not coming past her toes. We always talk about that with lunges. Very important here. We don't want you to hurt your knees. Both of her feet are flat on the ground, okay? And she does have a wide step here. She's holding through, she's breathing through it, and she's holding this one for 60 seconds. Good.
And if I take a deep breath, I feel like I intensify that stretch even more. The hip flexor is just a muscle that's so connected to so many things. And you know, the other thing that we're doing is we're not just stretching out the muscle, but the fascia. Fascia is this layer. It's kind of this sinewy like layer of tissue, connective tissue. Kind of like, you know, when you eat meat and you have that kind of that filmy stuff in between.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wraps every single muscle. And so if the layers between the muscle and that connective tissue are tight or dry, that's why we talked about hydration so much. Yeah. If they're dry, it will absolutely affect how much you're able to stretch. All right, I'm going to go to the other side.
Did we tell you guys to drink water yet today? I think we've told you plenty of times. But yes, guys, staying hydrated doesn't just have to do with, it has to do with everything, especially how your body is working. It doesn't just help you go to the bathroom and get rid of things and flush your system. It helps your body move. Okay.
So you don't turn into gristle.
Right. Yes, guys, if we can remain muted right now, that would be awesome just because we are recording. But yes, absolutely right. We don't want to turn into gristle. Okay.
I'm going to do the other leg.
Other side now. We're going to stretch that hip on the other side. Yep. Okay. Again, making sure that that front knee is not coming past the toe. Great posture. Chin is up out of her chest. Nice neutral spine. What that means is she's looking straight ahead. She's not even looking at you guys right now because we want to make sure she's not going to tweak her neck. Okay. And she is showing you right where she's feeling that in the hip right there. Good. Look at her back
pressing
leg.
my hips forward a little bit, so
Intentionally to feel.
Intentionally.
Yes.
And I'm really trying to open up my chest again. So I'm not in this rounded position as much as I am in this backward leaning position.
Yes. And you guys, she is also feeling this a little bit in her calf. okay? And some of you, if you walk a lot on your toes, you may feel this in your calf more than your hip, depending on how you're standing.
Right.
Okay, so if this is killing your calf, please be really careful, and you can bring your heel up off the ground.
Yes, so you can still get that hip flexor stretch by taking some of the strain off of your calf by coming up onto your toes in the back, but still focusing on pressing those hips forward, leaning back slightly, or at least being upright with your posture here. Again, you're not going to get a hip flexor stretch if you're leaning forward like this. It's got to be at least to neutral and upright here. So now, because we are stretching our calves, if I want to stretch my calf, I'm just going to press my heel down. I'm going to bring my calf, keep my knee straight, and I'm bringing my heel down to really feel it in the back there.
Yes. Again, we want to be really careful with our knees here so that we are not twisting them in any weird ways. We want to make sure that they're nice and strong.
And my toes are pointed forward.
Straight ahead. Yep, you got it.
You can see that very well.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So now we're going to, we already did the knee to chest while in the bed already. We showed you those exercises being in the, before, when you wake up and you're just getting out of bed. So now you're going to do the knee to chest while standing, okay? Or you can do it while seated.
Okay.
Okay.
So knee to chest while standing would just be bringing your knee up to your chest.
Okay, now making sure that you're somewhere close to the wall or that you're feeling very secure with this stance here because you've got only one leg down on the ground, okay?
So in the seated position, I'm just gonna hop back on here. I'm actually gonna be at the edge of my chair and then I'm bringing my knee up to my chest.
You can also do while you're sitting on the edge of the bed and you're just stretching out here before you even put your feet on the ground. Yeah. Okay. Good. So we'll hold these for 30 to 60 seconds on each side. Go ahead and switch sides. Did you switch sides already?
Yep.
Okay, switch sides. Okay, guys. And another thing we forgot to mention, actually, when you're getting up out of bed, before you even put your feet down on the ground, it's really important to touch your feet and warm up your feet and massage your feet before your feet hit the ground, especially if you've got a really high bed. Sometimes when that first initial shock of putting your feet down on the ground can be a bit much of that impact. So we want to make sure that you're massaging your feet in the morning if that's something that you're comfortable with. It helps your circulation and it really helps you with your balance and feeling. We talk about working out barefoot all the time. We want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with that kind of stuff. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, and that knee to chest, especially if you're in sitting, it's so easy to want to round your back. Mm-hmm. So see if you can keep that good posture throughout the stretch.
Exactly. Okay, now we are going to talk about some foam rolling and some tennis ball rolls here. Okay, so if you guys do not have a foam roller, that's okay. We're going to show you the different types of foam rollers we have. You want to go ahead and grab those right now. And if you don't have a foam roller today, go ahead and grab a tennis ball or any kind of ball. Lacrosse ball is a little bit harder than a tennis ball, so that's going to be it's definitely going to dig a lot deeper. So grab something that's not super harsh. Even if you have a bigger soccer ball, that's something that to ease yourself into. We're going to do some hand rolls. So we're going to do all of these things with a tennis ball and a foam roller today to help you.
I just want to go over some of the equipment that we have.
Absolutely. I was just showing them some of the rolls and massages we're going to do here. Okay. All right. We're going to come back to us here. Right. All right. Excellent.
Okay. So the first thing is we have our standard foam roller. This is a full foam roller. Sometimes they come in halves, which would be cut in half here, but this is a full one. So it is a cylindrical cylinder, I guess. Cylindrical cylinder. Okay. And this is the standard one. So it's a little bit on the hard side. Nowadays, this is from like 1990 or something like that. But nowadays they come in all different types. And so one of them now is also the same size foam roller also comes in different kind of densities. So some of them are harder than others. This one is harder than this one. And they come in different colors too. But if you're looking for a foam roller, look for one that maybe if you're new to it and you're kind of sensitive with your muscles, find one that's a little bit on the softer side. So you can just type in, soft foam roller or extra soft foam roller.
Or something like this. When you're using something smaller for something like this, you're not using all of your body weight and really taking the force in that muscle, right? So,
yeah, I actually wanted to talk about
Yeah,
this
let's
one
talk
next.
about that
So
one.
this is another mini foam roller, but as you can see, it's got all of these cruel knobs here. And this is actually for fascial release. So these are extremely uncomfortable and very painful. I do not recommend starting with this at all. It's more for like the athlete, the hardcore athlete that's running every day and needs deep fascial work. So, and then we have, you know, like I said, you go to these conferences and they have all different kinds. So this one is a smaller one. It's easy to travel with. It's got a little groove here so that it doesn't sit on your spine when you've got it behind you like this, and it's a little bit softer. But again, there's so many different types of rollers.
I like that. I might steal it. So
This
it goes
one actually
missing, I
comes,
might
it
have
has this tube, it can come, you can put this dowel through it, and then it becomes a stick as
That's
well
cool.
for massaging.
Okay. And in terms of if you don't have a roller, we've got a handy tennis ball. You guys know what this is. And this is actually a juggling ball. Is that right?
No, that's the pinky ball. It's
Oh.
actually softer.
Oh, softer
It's
than.
much softer.
Yeah, this is softer. So it's going to be a little squishier. And so we will be doing some rolling out.
And then we have the orb, which is another myofascial kind of tool. Mochi got to it, but
Mochi is a dog.
yeah, but it does the same thing. It's meant to be like a tennis ball, and you can use it to massage your muscles and your fascia. Very hard as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to start out. So pick your foam roller or your tennis ball or your pinky ball, whatever is more comfortable for you. We're going to start with just a simple hand roll, okay? So I'm going to be on my knees just to show you. You guys do not have to be on your knees, but say I'm sitting at my dining room table, okay, and I've got my tennis ball just flat on the table, and I'm just going to use the pressure of my body weight, and I'm using my tennis ball to rub on my hand. Okay, Lisa's showing you this. She could also be at the dining room table with her foam roller and just rolling out both of her hands. Yeah. Okay, for us, we can do one hand at a time. You can even flip over your hand and kind of work through the back of your hand. Remember, you guys, if it's not comfortable and you're feeling like all these little twinges and all that stuff, we want to make sure that you're not rolling over and really putting all your body weight. You're just starting out slowly, right? And make sure that we're breathing, okay? So we're rolling out here. Good. Make sure you do both hands equally. If you want to do both hands at the same time, that's fine. That would, you know, Lisa's got both going because she's got that foam roller. Lucky I have two balls here today.
And I'm also kind of rotating through my hand so that I'm not just right down the center, but I'm tilting slightly to one side, more towards the pinky, then tilting more towards the thumb. So I really get to stretch and massage all of my fingers here.
You got it. Okay, next we've got the forearm roll or massage or stretch, whatever you want to call that. Okay, so for me here, this is supposed to be my dining room table, okay? So I'm going to use my body weight with a good posture. I'm bracing myself with my other hand here, okay? And I'm just lightly rolling my tennis ball and my forearm. I see that there's some chats coming in here. It's difficult for me to read them that far away. I'm just showing you here. I'm rolling out the underside of my forearm and I'm coming up to the top as well. Okay, Lisa's doing both on her foam roller, and you want to be really careful that you don't send yourself with your roller through the table, right? We want to make sure that you're feeling very balanced in whatever position you are standing.
And
or
look
seated.
at my body mechanics. I'm in a wide stance. My back is relatively straight. I'm not hunched over here going like this, okay? Do not do it this way. Again, nice and tall with our posture always, and I'm using my legs to help control how much I'm going forward and back. Excellent. And again, you can use the back side of your arms and the palm side and the back side. You got it. A lot of muscles involved in the hands. They're like, I can't remember. I think there's 16 muscles in the forearm.
There are a lot. Yes. Okay. Excellent. So the next thing we are going to do, you have
well, just really important because we do so many things with our hands nowadays, like texting and being on the computer and you know looking at your iPad and trying to do these things. So hands and getting that, avoiding carpal tunnel, avoiding tennis elbow, really important.
Yep, and we talk about dexterity all the time, guys. This is where it's starting. If your hands are already like this, you want to open them up and you really want to massage your hands and make sure that you can still do all those movements.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So on to the next. We've got, did you do glutes next or thighs?
I don't know. Let's check.
Let's check our little handy list here. We have our screen share here. All right, so on to the next. Let's check it out here. And you guys can write this down, but we can also send this out. Oh, we've got the shoulder roll.
Lats. Yeah, the
Shoulder roll and the lats. That's right. Okay, shoulder and the lats. Okay,
I'm
good.
actually going to move this table and get behind it.
Good idea. I'm coming here. I'm still sitting at my dining room table. I've got a wine glass here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, good.
So now I'm really getting lower. And again, look at, I'm behind here, but I've got my knees bent and I'm just kind of coming up across my shoulder here.
Good. So for me, I'm going to actually take my tennis ball and roll it on my shoulder. Now, some of you may not even, your shoulders may not allow you to get over to the other side. This is a really good stretch, actually, stretching out your shoulder and your tricep while you're doing this. And I'm just taking my tennis ball and using the pressure of my own body weight to move through this. Obviously, much more effective to do the foam roller and really lean into it. But if that's not an option for you or you don't feel safe doing it, a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball, something a little bit harder, that orb that she has, is a really good way. You could also do this on the ground and lean into it, but we want to make sure that you're feeling comfortable and safe. Are you feeling safe over there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so.
And then we've got our lats. So the lats are these muscles way down here. So this one is a little bit harder to do. Let's see if I can do this.
Difficult to do with a tennis ball, that's for sure, but still an option. Okay, so having your arm up here and trying to roll through this, you're really pressing this ball into your lats here. Okay.
And for me, I'm going to be kind of lying on my side here. And I'm just sort of, I've got this roller underneath me and I'm just sort of rolling up and down over my lats.
This is Lisa
Of
being
course.
sexy.
And if you have long hair,
Yeah.
the foam roller
Foam
always
roller.
seems to catch your hair.
Yes.
So
Be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's hard to do.
It's very hard
It's
to do.
very
on
hard
the
to do your lats.
1974.
And yeah,
table.
this
That
table
table is
can
rickety.
tilt at any time.
Yeah.
So this is a hard one to
Yeah.
do.
But you guys get the idea, and you really want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's much easier to do this on the ground, but we wanted to do this in a way that we could show you and you could all see exactly what you needed to do.
Right.
Also, you can do this kind of stuff on the bed, but you're going to feel much more effective having this on the ground.
Right. So I'm doing this on the table here.
Yeah, on the massage table. Okay. All right. So next we've got back roll and glutes.
Okay, so this one is actually, the trick here is getting on and off the roller. So again, I'm showing you on the table. This is for demonstrations purposes only.
Yeah.
Most of you should be doing this on the ground, okay? So let's pretend,
Let me be your stunt double here.
let's pretend I'm right here on the ground. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit on the edge of my roller.
Are you all right?
This table is only like 3 feet wide. So I've got my butt right on the edge. See that? The butt is right on the edge. I'm going to use my hands to lower myself down. And now I'm on.
You're on.
And I have a really long torso. Where's the pillow?
Right here.
So for some people, you may not be able to get your head all the way down. So make sure you have a little pillow or two to keep yourself on here. Okay? So this is a really just staying in this position is already
It's tricky.
so helpful to open up the chest and open up the torso through here.
Yeah.
You can do a couple of things in this position. One of the things I love to do, and again, my knees are bent. They're a little bit wider so that I don't fall off of this thing. Okay?
Excellent.
So I like to do, the prayer stretch that we do is you put your hands together, your elbows together, you come up over your head, and then you do a big sun salutation. hands together, elbows together, up over your head, and the big sun salutation. You can do a couple of these while you're in this position here. Again, you're on the floor, you're not on the table balancing. Your knees are bent, your legs are wide, your hands can be down on the ground to stabilize you as needed. The second one that I like to do is backstroke. So backstroke is just with your thumb leading to touch the floor behind you. You're aiming, your elbows are straight, you're just coming straight back, touch, 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 okay? Just like that, backstroke. We call this backstroke. Another one in this position that's so great is snow angel. Now, if you have really tight shoulders and you have really tight pecs and you've got rotator cuff injuries and stuff like that, you may not be able to go very far. So you might just be able to go, look at this. I can't even get my arms to 90 degrees, but that's okay. As you get better at this, you'll see how much your body loosens up and you'll be able to get to 90 degrees, or maybe you'll get to 100 degrees, or maybe you'll be able to go all the way and keep your fingers touching the ground. So the key is you want to keep your fingers dragging on the ground as you do your snow angel.
Well done. All right.
Oh,
So
one last one in this
Okay.
position. Sorry, last one is reach for the sky. So you're going to alternate reaching for the sky, reach for the sky. Guys, just being on the roller is just so good for your back, and just gently mobilizing through the spine, which is something that never gets treated unless you actually go to physical therapy. So this is self-mobilization of the spine. So important. So important. Okay, good. And just being on here is also really working your core.
yeah, and really good for balance. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So Lisa's gonna carefully get off of this. Okay. So again, you guys are on the floor. So if you were to just roll over or sit up, show them the best way to do that while not falling off of your table.
Right. So ideally, you would roll over to one side. Can you hold the table? Because
Yes,
I
I
just
got it.
think that I'm gonna like fall off of the stairs and flat. So I'm gonna roll over to one side. Beep.
All right.
All right, and I'm off.
And she's off. Okay, so wanted to show you guys, that was the foam roller version. Now, we mentioned a ball, okay? So with the back, it's a really sensitive thing here. If you're going to work the lower back with this little tiny ball, you may do so, okay? So you want to show them that. Or you can use a ball like this, but remember, this is pretty tough on your back, and you don't want to be sitting down on a ball or something like that. So
Yeah, the orb is not really for your back. It's more
Right.
about the tennis balls. And if you've ever been to physical therapy, you might see that they'll take two tennis balls and tape them together, like just duct tape them, just, and then you have these two things, and it gives you that nice little groove for the spine to avoid compression through the spine. But otherwise, you just have the tennis balls right here on you, and you're gonna just lie down on them. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
Yep. See, so those are great to use. She's got, again, she's going back to what we are doing with the stretches on the bed. She's just using her legs and shifting her weight from side to side, and she's rolling out her lower back.
There's the tennis balls.
See the tennis balls right there in her lower back. So that's a very helpful way to relieve some pressure back there.
And I can move the tennis balls up or down across my spine,
Yeah.
making sure that I'm on the muscle and not the actual bony part of your
Yeah.
spine.
Yikes.
So I'm on the muscle, not the bones.
Exactly. All right. Now we've got some glutes.
Okay, my
Talk about the
favorite.
glutes.
Right.
Okay. Guys, our glutes are tight. We do a lot of stuff. We talk about tight hamstrings, tight glutes. It's time to stretch them out. You want to be your foam roller again?
Yeah.
All right. Here, toss me those. Okay.
So for the glutes, this one is tricky. Again, I'm on the ground. Pretend like I'm on the ground. And actually, I'm just going to put this up against the wall.
Okay.
It's just more sticky. Okay. So I'm on the ground. And I'm actually just going to sit on it. I'm going to sit on this foam roller. And you'll find that you'll have bony parts of your hips. That's not where you want to sit. You want to sit on the fleshy part. And so I'm supporting myself with my hands here, and I can use my legs to help figure out how much weight I need to put through the foam roller here.
You guys actually might want to start with just putting both of your,
You might want to just sit
directly on the foam roller because it's actually taking some pressure off of each side, and you're dispersing your weight in a way that it's not going to actually send you to the moon if you sit on that a little too sharply. Okay, so.
And then I can actually do some of this self-mobilization just by moving around a little bit.
Yeah, I like to sit on my roller with my legs very evenly, and I like to just kind of come back and forward, just like Lisa's doing, but I'm just taking the brunt of the pain and just kind of easing through that just to get me ready for what I'm about to embark on. Okay, so yes, Lisa's kind of doing a little bit of an advance here with her, she's a little bit closer to her hip and she's coming over to the side a bit. And that might hurt a little bit more than just sitting on the roller to ease into that.
Again, be sure to avoid that really bony part because you've got a bursa that's covering that bony part. So if you take the roller and you just start rolling over that bursa, you will create bursitis. So be very careful when you are doing your hip and your glutes here. Now, the IT band is something that is very painful, not recommended for the beginner, but it's the one that's right along the racing stripe. And how I do this is I take my one leg, I'm supporting it, I can control my weight by using my legs, and I'm just sort of up and down here on that racing stripe. Not recommended for the beginner at all.
Yes, if you've never foam rolled before, do not do what she is doing right now. It is not comfortable. Okay, so that is definitely an advanced stretch. We want to talk about thighs right now. So you can take your foam roller and you can actually place it, as you're seated, you can place it and just kind of manually move it this way here, okay? Or she could make sure that her foam roller is on the ground and she can put all of her body weight on top. And so she's taking all of the force on her thighs here, on her quads, and she's rolling out her quads. So also a great way to try it. I have my orb here, okay? So I can take this and I can work through my thigh just like this, and just using my hands to control where my weight is going here. But in this case, you know, when you've got both of your legs working like that, it's taking the brunt of it and evenly dispersing between both of your legs. So you want to make sure that you're on a very flat surface when you're doing that.
Right. So the opposite of the quads would be the hamstrings. So the hamstrings, I'm just going to flip over here, and this one requires you to be a little bit more skillful with holding your body weight up and going up and down. Same idea. Just rolling over that muscle group again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can also do this with the tennis ball.
Tennis ball, the orb. I don't actually know what you use this one for.
I use that for my glutes.
For your glutes, yeah. Okay. So she would use this on her glutes. I actually like the lacrosse ball because it's harder. But yes, for the hamstrings, same idea. If I were on my seat, I could do the same thing here and just kind of place the ball right underneath and just kind of shift my weight in my chair, or if I'm on the ground, same idea. And you know, it is just one leg at a time that way. So you are feeling it directly in that one hamstring. You can come from side to side and feel it's coming through all of those hamstrings.
Right, and then we've got
The
our
feet.
calves.
Oh, calves. I forgot about the calves. Yeah.
So
calves.
calves, another one, really tight.
Yes.
So I'm just taking my one leg. I can do it one at a time, or
Yeah.
both,
Yeah.
rolling it up and down, rolling it up and down, pressing into the foam roller a little bit to get some more pressure.
Yep.
Good. And then we have our tennis balls
Yep. Tennis balls
for our feet.
for your feet. Okay. Good. So. And you can do this while you're seated and your tennis ball's on the ground.
Yeah.
You have your ball, you know, and you're just kind of moving your foot around over the tennis ball, or you can do this while you're up on the kitchen table. Not really, but while you're, you know, some people do this while they're in bed. That's fine. You know, wherever the surface is the most comfortable for you, and you know, working through that arch there, especially if you've got a high arch, you want to make sure you're rolling that baby out. All right.
And
Up to
it's
the
just
toes.
like the hands. Yeah. You want to make sure you're getting the whole foot, not just that same middle ground. You want to go all the way around, all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, all the way through the toes, on each side of the foot.
Stretch out your toes, just like your hands, like she's saying. So open up your feet and then go ahead and bring them back. Open them up. Try to spread all your toes out. We want to make sure that you're working on your feet just as much as you're working on your hands. It's important. Okay, good. All right. Okay, I think that is everything that we wanted to cover today. We're going to go ahead and stop recording, and then we can open it up for any questions that you guys may have, okay?
Or they may want to talk to you.
Yeah, if you guys want to chat about anything. And yes, a lot, with this, you saw that we were barefoot. If you're foam rolling your feet with shoes on, guys, that's not going to work for you. We want to make sure that you get to the arch there, okay? So make sure that you do have your shoes off while you're doing this kind of stuff. All right, here we go.